Hello, and welcome back, my friends, to another awesome episode of the Multifamily Mindset Podcast. I'm your hostess, Cindy Maguire, better known as Cyndi. Show me the money, Maguire. I wear a few hats around here. I'm a strategist at the Multifamily Mindset, seasoned real estate investor, co founder of Gold Bar Partners, and mentor to many budding real estate enthusiasts. If you're new here, we're happy you found us and super stoked to have you join our ever expanding network. Here on the podcast, we're all about real stories, real strategies, and real results to help you rock your multifamily investing journey. Every Tuesday, get inspired by amazing student success stories. Thursdays are all about mastering your mindset. Fridays, we like to keep it short and sweet with the multifamily minute. And Wednesdays, that's where we get to some serious high level insights with Own the Outcome. So if you're here looking for inspiration, practical advice, or just a good story, you've come to the right place.
Multifamily Mindset
Podcast. Think bigger.
Today, we have a student of Multifamily Mindset, co-founder of Legacy Capital Partners, husband and father of two, an avid snowboarder, and loves off-roading with his side-by-side all the way from the potato state of Idaho. A big welcome to Casey Sparling. Hi, Casey.
Hey, how's it going?
Welcome. So happy to have you here. I know we literally just met, a week ago or less?
3 days ago. Yeah.
And
in person. Yeah.
And you started telling me about all your stories of what obstacles and getting into a deal and out of a deal. And I was like, Casey, let's do this on a podcast. And you said,
Great. Let's do it.
You didn't say it like that. You said like, great. Yeah, let's do it.
I've been trying to get on podcasts. So no, this is exciting, especially because you came to me. So that's even more exciting. So
Did I really come to you?
you offered is what I should say. You offered is what I should say.
I figure we connected. This is going to be good. We're going to have fun. So let's do this. So Casey, I know I got to get to know you better last weekend, but give a little insight of yourself to our listeners out there.
All right. So like Cyndi said, I am a father of two. I've got a beautiful wife, and I have been doing the entrepreneurial thing since 2018. But I have been surrounded by entrepreneurs almost my whole life with my cousins, aunts, uncles, my dad. Yeah. So, what are you looking to know exactly? I'm sorry, I screwed this up. I apologize, Cyndi.
That's okay. You can't screw yourself up because you know you best. So when we were talking yesterday, just kind of going over some highlights I wanted to talk about. First, let's talk about Legacy Capital Partners. And I asked you, where did that name come from? How'd you come up with that name?
So I actually, my partner and my brother and I actually came up with that name because a couple of years ago, my dad passed away, and he was an entrepreneur. He was always wanting to do. He had a really successful roofing business, and he was always looking to do more. So we decided to carry his legacy on through entrepreneurship and build out his legacy with what he left all of us. So
I love that true generational wealth and legacy going. We always talk about, I know we have a lot of students that talk about creating and building a legacy for their kids and their kids to come and so forth. So I love how this is going down. And you told me 7 generations down now?
yeah. So my kids are 7th generation of that property my dad left us.
Nice. And then, okay, more about you. We talked, I asked you, did you go to school? Did you work? What's your background? Like you're 37 years old?
Yeah, so I'm 37. When I graduated high school in 2006, and I didn't go to college immediately after because I knew that the bill for college was going to be on me, and I didn't want to go to college if I didn't know what I was going to do. So I just kind of entered the workforce immediately. Just trying to figure out exactly where I wanted to go, and I finally decided to go to college. To go to college at 28, when I decided I wanted to be a counselor, and then I found out that that was to be a successful counselor was at least 6 years of college, and I didn't. That's not something I really wanted to do.
What kind of
And
counseling did you want to do?
marriage and family studies counseling.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So, but yeah, and after 2 years of college, I just decided it wasn't for me. It wasn't what I wanted to do. And kind of fast forward to 2018 is when I started to kind of really learn the ins and outs and the benefits of investing in real estate. So,
I know you started like many of us in the single family space. Tell us how you dove into that. Because I know you just
I
decided to buy your primary residence and you're like, now I need to do something more.
So yeah, so I had a good buddy of mine, still buddy to this day. Him and I actually so I knew him since high school. I've known him since high school, and we stayed in contact, never really lost contact actually. And he called me and he's like, "Hey, there's a house for sale right across the street from me." And he had already been doing real estate investing, so he already knew the ins and outs of it. And I said, "All right, we'll come look at the house. It's out of our price range, but we'll come look just for fun." And we ended up going to look, and I should have known this was coming. My buddy, he had the realtor come that he could come at the same time I was going, and sure enough, we ended up buying the property. Ironically, though, I actually walked that lot. It was a brand new home. I actually walked that lot 1 year before, and I told my buddy, "I'm gonna buy this lot. I'm gonna buy this house that is built here." I didn't realize that till after I purchased it, so it was actually kind of interesting. So,
So you
um,
manifested it.
yeah, I did totally, and yeah, I learned right there the power of manifestation for sure. And then 9 months later, so my buddy living across the street from me, he's like, "Dude, it's time to move," and I was like, "I just got here. I've only been here for 9 months," and
Yeah, who says that?
yeah, like it was weird to me. I knew what he was doing, but I didn't know that he was, going to get me into it. And
What was he
so
doing?
he also does residential investing as well. And so he had, I can't remember how many rentals he had at the time, but he had at least, I want to say at least four rentals as well, and then his primary. So he had five homes. So, and then I kept telling him no. I said, "Dude, I just bought this house. I'm not moving." But we kept talking back and forth. Extremely scary because, the only thing that was going through my mind at the time was I'm about to take on two mortgages and I can only afford one. So, but yeah, we ended up moving 9 months later, had to write up an addendum as to why we were moving.
Did your
Because
wife think you were
yeah.
crazy?
Oh no, my wife felt good about it. My wife was we talked a lot about it and she felt really good about it. And so after that, we were just
So
thinking,
she's the smart one between the two of you.
absolutely. So, yeah, so we ended up buying another house in a neighborhood, maybe less than 10 miles away from that one. And once we started getting those properties, getting that rental income from that house, that was a long-term rental at the time. We kind of started to see the benefit and kind of understand it a little better. So then 11 months of living in our second house, we moved again in the same neighborhood this time. So but yeah, and then we kept moving. So that was in 18, 19, and 20 is when we bought our houses. So and then we decided we were having a lot of troubles. We were having a lot of issues with long-term renters. We almost got out of the game by the time we got to our third house. There was a lot of stress that they were causing us, even though I did, all the due diligence. I did the credit check. I called their old landlord. I did everything, and we were still having problems. So we almost
So
sold.
you were your own property, you self-managed your properties.
I did at the time. Yes, I did.
And did you have any
So
experience?
nope. my buddy helped me out. He helped me understand it, but I mean, he kind of
He help you
helped me,
understand that you don't
how
like
to.
doing it?
Oh, absolutely. He helped me learn how to vet, vet my renters and make sure we were getting a good one. But even if
So
you vet
that
your
was a
renters,
learning curve.
oh my gosh, absolutely. Yes, that was a huge learning curve for us.
I always tell
So,
everyone your rentals are as good as your management. And I promise you, I'm the worst property manager ever. Especially because they could like yank on all my emotions. Like, oh, we just lost her job. And I go, oh, I get that. I've been laid off before. Oh, my mom just passed. I get that. I've lost my mom before. Oh, I've gone through a divorce. I'm like, yep, I get that too. And sure enough, there's no rent coming in the next week or the next week.
and yeah, and that was actually a big thing I learned is my very first renter actually he had a good job, but after he rents a few months after he rented my house, he decided to switch jobs. And I was trying to be the nice landlord, and it's like, yeah, I understand, but I learned the hard way that it's okay to be a nice landlord, but you have to help them understand, like, I've got a mortgage just like you have a rent payment. Like, I
They don't
understand that you're going
understand
through some
that.
hard
They
times.
won't understand
Yeah.
that. The renters. It's
Yes. So
it's about them. Until they're an
it really is.
entrepreneur and a real estate owner, they don't get it. They won't get it. So you have to remember
Yep.
to think in the way they think. So you're buying a property every year and then it comes
Yeah.
to a halt.
Yeah. So by the time we got into our third house, that was in 2020. The market started to take a serious shift in the Boise area where we live. Everything just started to skyrocket. Prices started to skyrocket. Interest rates started to skyrocket. Everything. So we ended
Wait. When
up not
interest rates skyrocket, normally the prices of housing goes down. So why was the housing prices going up?
shortage of houses. Everybody's moving here from. Everyone always blames Californians, but
It is the
but
Californians. I used to work in Boise back in the 90s, mid 90s. I was working at Micron as an engineer. And I remember, oh, yeah, you. I go, what about me? You Californians, you're the reason why our housing prices are going up. And I said, yeah, you're welcome.
Hey,
Right?
I am very great. I am very grateful for it now, but when I was trying to buy another home, that came into a serious issue. By the way, they're building Micron in, yeah, I don't know if you've seen what they're doing in Micron here in the Boise area, but it's getting huge here. Just FYI,
Well,
look into it later.
as you know, I quit my engineering job because I was making more money in real estate. So I couldn't imagine working 50, 60 hours a week to make less money than I do working part-time in real estate. So, yeah, no, thank
No,
you.
I was just saying like what the growth, like, yeah,
Yes.
what they're doing to Micron is nuts here. So, but no, real estate for sure.
Okay, so tell me
So,
about your transition from single family into multifamily investing.
so my brother, he reached out to me knowing that him and I both, we like the real estate space. We're both in it, and he's like, "Hey, do you want to go to this event with me?" It was the 3 day for MFM, and it was the one in Sacramento, so it was actually a bit of a travel for us. And I said, yeah, absolutely. Like, this sounds great. So we ended up going to the 3 day. And after attending that 3 day, it like, just all these lights started going off in my head of like how I can, scale bigger. It's not only scale bigger, but scale better in the multifamily space through syndication models. And so after that, we just my brother and I talked it over and we just thought it was a great idea. And sure enough, we, ended up joining in the partnership and there's still so much to learn from it, but it was definitely one of the best decisions I've ever made in entrepreneurship for sure.
Yeah, I mean, when we
So
talk about scaling, I always found that single family investing is very linear. So the more you do, you get equal amount of money or income or profits. But with multifamily, it's exponential. You can work less and make a lot more. And so when did that happen for you? I know you joined the mentorship program how long ago?
Almost a year in April.
A year in April. So about 9, 10 months. And you've already gotten your first deal. Tell us
Yeah.
about getting into your first deal and all the fun that came along with it.
Okay. So shortly after the 3 day, we actually got invited into a deal to help raise capital into a deal in Des Moines, Iowa. So we're new into this and we're thinking like, oh my gosh, this is so exciting. This fresh into it, and we're already getting invited to a deal. So we just started hitting, just hitting the streets running.
So
And
who invited you? Was it a sponsor?
yeah, so it was James McCabe and his partner invited us into it. Um, and then we started making all these, we had a lot of warm contacts that we could reach out to. And so we started to reach out to them. We set up a lot of appointments to invest into this deal, and that's where we learned really fast about capital raising and what it really takes to do it. So it was definitely a huge lesson learned. But at the same time, we were also able to LP in that deal as well, and so happy that we did, just because of the fact that it taught us a lot from an LP standpoint that if we hadn't taken that opportunity, wouldn't have learned.
Well,
So,
let's go with top 3 lessons you learned about capital raising.
all right. Top 3 lessons. Lesson one, that your warm market is not always your best market. Um, everyone has their warm market, people they can reach out to. It's great, but sometimes they're your warm market. They're not always they're not always going to be. They'll sit down and they'll support you, but they were not always going to invest into your deal. So we learned that real early. Second is getting
So they're
meetings
more
set
like
up. So once
emotional support.
kinda, yeah, yeah, for sure. So
Okay.
and then getting so once we have the meetings and they learn all about the deal, getting them to um, getting them to actually wire the money over to the deal as an investor. I couldn't tell you how many times I had to reach out to obviously my warm market and also some other contacts I had as well. Be like, hey, what'd you think about the meeting? Do you have any questions, concerns? And just trying to be able to follow up with them, and even if they were interested, trying to get them to get to the point to wire money over to
So
them
what do you
as
think held
well.
them back? Why didn't they do what you asked them to do the first round? I mean, they're
Um,
your friends and family members.
I mean, I would say maybe at that point, they knew that we were residential real estate investors, but they didn't know a lot that we were moving into the commercial space.
Oh, so that's
So they
when you
probably
really need to lean on your sponsors and your other operators who have the experience to help you talk to and show that this is a team that can close deals and operate multifamily properties, right?
yeah, no, and there was just so much that we were trying to take in all at once in such a short amount of time.
Okay, second
And
lesson.
yes. Oh, I already went over the second lesson, but okay. Second lesson
Well,
was the getting them over, after the meeting, after getting all those meetings booked, is getting them to actually wire the funds over.
oh, sorry.
Getting
I
them
thought
to
that was all part of warm leads aren't that great.
Well, yeah, if you wanted, yeah.
Okay, next
But
one. What other lessons did you learn?
that I learned really fast that if you want to scale in this business, and people need to know what you're doing. You need to get active on social media. You need to you need to, post. You need to post about what you're doing. People want to see what you're doing. So that way, when the time comes to raise money and raise capital for a deal, they see that, oh, he's been doing it for a while. He's got all these posts about it. He knows what he's doing. He knows what he talks about. That's where I learned that why they emphasize so much on social media and posting about what you're doing on there. So
So if
and
you're
then
like on the downside of age, I won't say, and I'm not very great on social media, and I'm kind of old school. I've been raising capital for 16 years, and my mentor used to tell me I was a closet investor. Do you know why she called me a closet investor?
you didn't tell anybody about what you were doing.
Yes, yes, I didn't want to talk to anyone about it. Only if I went to like a networking event or something about real estate investing, then I would speak up. But in general, and because I talk to people all the time, like at the airports, at the bars, not that I'm there often, or just, anywhere, and or school meetings where you talk about see the other moms at the school trips and stuff. And I that's how I had to do it. So I'm not very happy with myself on social media because I can't put a reel on. My daughter made fun of me. I posted the same reel 3 times. She's like, Mom, you need to take a couple of them off because you did the same thing 3 times. So how would you advise someone to start doing that if
uh,
they're like social
that's
media verse?
honestly, that's kind of a lot where uh just I mean, every new entrepreneur journey is scary. From what you're trying to learn, what you're trying to do. Social media for me also scary. I didn't really I had social media, but I didn't really post, but you kind of have to get over your fear. And you kind of have to get over your fear of what you're doing and just do it. Like the fear may take a little bit to go away. It's still scary for me. I'm still trying to get better at posting, but I also know that fear is a really strong emotion. It's a really strong motivator. And with that being said, I don't want fear to control my future that I'm trying to build for my family. So yes, it's scary, but I also know that it's more fear is just an emotion, and if you can overcome it. And I think I don't know how many lessons I've gone over, but I think that's another one where mindset comes in, like
Absolutely.
learning
I tell everyone fear is a mindset. So you either have
it.
fear or you have faith. So which one do you want to choose?
Yeah, exactly. That's it's so true. Like, fear literally stops everybody. Like if you let it, it will control your life. It was scary to get my first investment property, but I did it. It was scary to post on social media about multifamily, but I did it. And I think that's why, Tyler and, through the MFM program, I think that's why they talk so much about mindset because it takes a mindset. It literally takes a positive mindset to get over your fears, to get past your what you think is a failure. But me personally, it's only a failure if you quit. That's kind of how I like to think about it. I can't say I always thought about it that way, but it's true. Like, yeah, you may not, raise as much capital as you or you may not have closed on that deal that you really wanted to close on. But that's where the mindset comes in. It's like, yeah, it kind of, it sucks. I didn't accomplish that. But what did you learn? What did you get from that? What did you take from that? What did you, what lessons can you learn from not being able to accomplish that and move forward from it? And I think that's probably the biggest lesson that I have taken from learning this from podcasts I've been listening to, books I've read. Like I understand now why mindset is so important with being an entrepreneur, especially when you're doing something new. So sorry,
I
that was a
see
really
that's okay. I see in the background of your wall it says mindset is everything. So what do you
yes.
do on a daily, regular basis to work on your mindset?
I've got three motivational playlists in my YouTube music. I've got motivational playlists that is more like 3 to 5 minute things, just kind of, helping you set your mindset for the day. I listen to that first thing in the morning.
Did you create this
Um,
playlist or is it one that you found?
no, I created it. I just add things to it that I like, that I have heard, that I've listened to.
Such
So
as,
I've
name
got,
some.
um, oh man, you put me on the spot
Yes, I
now.
did, because all these listeners want to know, what should I listen to also?
I am pulling up my motivational thing right now, and I can tell you the one, though this is the first one I ever listened to, and it was this one resonated with me, and it was called Never the Victim. So it was Never the Victim from Your World Within. And I listened to that every morning, and it just resonated with me. I don't know why it did, but it was one of my favorite things to listen to through it was one of my favorite things to listen to in the morning. And then as I listened to that, they make recommendations of what you should listen to, and then ended up finding them.
And
So
then
I
what was
have
the
my
second thing
motivational
you
plate.
do?
So then that's when gratitude. I really like to focus on my I'm sorry, can you hear my dog? I apologize for that.
It's okay, everyone has a
Um,
dog. Mine's snoring in the background. I'm glad you can't hear that though.
then I like to try to focus on gratitude. I like to try to focus on the opportunities that has been given to me, what I have to, how I am building this, how I am, just gratitude for what you have in your life. Like that's another big one. And then the next thing is books. I have never read so many books, and in the last 10 months I've probably read five, 4 or 5 different books all about, mindset, kind of just business in general, just helping me understand. And just by doing those things, and then listening to podcasts too, like the MFM podcast, just there's so many things out there, and listening to stories of other people. I love listening to other stories where people overcame their failures,
Okay,
or
let's talk
overcame their
about the books.
struggles in entrepreneurship.
You've read a lot of books. What do you recommend to our listeners?
Okay, so the first book I ever read after MFM was Rich Dad Poor Dad. That's when I learned. That's where I learned a lot, and that just kind of opened my eyes a little bit more. The next book was, I'm reading a book right now called Mindset. I actually learned it. They talked about it on an episode, on a Q&A with MFM.
Okay, how
I
about
read.
I just kind of asked for one book, but I know
Sorry,
if you
I'm
ever
sorry.
talk to Casey, he could keep going on and on. So I just trying to get this. Let's talk about what you're working on now. What are you working on now?
So I have just working on, I have a few of my favorite markets. I really want to buy my next apartment. I really want it to be here in the Treasure Valley because there's so much growth here. So I actually am looking a lot here. But then I'm also looking in, the popular markets as well. Specifically Charlotte and Raleigh, North Carolina. I'm looking in those areas a lot as well. So,
And I'm headed to
but I'm just trying to
Raleigh
work on.
tomorrow.
You what?
I'm headed to Raleigh tomorrow.
So jealous.
Should be. I was trying to see if I could find a Tar Heels game, but no, I miss them today and on Sundays. So, but are you an UNC fan?
Not big into sports, unfortunately. As long as I know everyone else is. All right.
Okay, I got advice for you.
Okay.
Learn sports, and your investor pool will get so much bigger. For real.
I have learned a lot that there's a lot of people into sports that I didn't realize. So yeah, I feel like I have to get a little better into it. I like football, but more on a casual level. NFL more of a casual level, but not like knowing stats and stuff. I can't say I know any of that.
So I'm gonna give you like a freebie, and for our listeners, a little cheat sheet of Cyndi's little cheats. So before I go to bed, and it just so happens my husband is a sports fanatic. He used to play sports back in the day, and before I go to bed, outside of reading my books, I watch ESPN. And you know what ESPN shows? Highlights. So I don't even have to watch the games. I just know who did what, how much they scored, and all this, who played who, who's in the finals, or who's who, who's who. And then when I talk to investors or brokers, especially if I heard that they went to Michigan or Ohio or UNC, I'm like, oh yeah, did you see that game? And I act like I watched it. I know who won and all that. And I didn't have to. I only watched 30 minutes of ESPN highlights. Shh, don't tell anyone.
All right, I won't tell anyone, but that's good. I like that because yeah, watching a full game, that's difficult. But as long as you can at least talk a little bit.
But honestly, I do love my football and I love a lot of basketball. But on the professional side, I watch. And then when March Madness comes, of course, I'm watching that. But so y'all watch March Madness because I probably 75 to 90% of all investors are watching basketball. So that's a good way to connect. Just my little 2 cents worth. Okay, let's talk. I know we have to close this down soon. So tell me about the biggest lesson you've learned so far through your multifamily investing.
Oh man, I kind of went on a tangent a little earlier. But honestly, the biggest lesson I learned, and I've already talked about it, was just mindset. That's I've already talked about it, but it really is very crucial, very important, especially when you're trying to build something that you may feel like is new to you, or just in general, just to overcome those obstacles that comes when you are not able to, do something the way you wanted it done, or close on that deal, or raise that money. Like, that's mindset's so important. So
It's I just went on a Zoom with my mentor earlier today. His name is John C. Maxwell. If you know him or if you've read his books, he's absolutely amazing. And he says, persistent, you get it. Consistent, you keep it. And anticipation, you enjoy it. And I was like, oh my gosh. I'm like, he's so right in those 3 words: persistent, consistent, and anticipate. Because we have to enjoy what
that's
we're doing.
oh yeah, no, for sure, absolutely, you got to enjoy what you're doing. So, but no, that is I actually heard a quote on one of my motivational things, and I actually posted this on social media just as like a motivational quote, and it was um you oh man, I'm drawing a blank now because on the spot, but it was I lost it. I totally lost
Okay,
it.
it's okay. How can listeners find you?
Just so Facebook, just my name, Casey Sparling, or Instagram, Casey Sparling underscore. So
Casey
that is the best
Sparling,
way.
and after the G of Sparling, just an underscore?
Just an underscore. Yep.
Okay. Well, thank you, Casey, for joining me on this podcast. Thank you, my friends, for tuning in. We hope you got to enjoy this episode with Casey today. Please join us again for more stories, insights, and inspiration. Until then, keep thinking bigger and get better every day.
Multifamily mindset. Podcast. Think bigger.